All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Fourth Down Talk, where every down counts and so does your opinion. We're going to break down this week's action, deliver game insight, and talk about every play that kept us on the edge of our seat. Again, my name is Albert, and I'm along here with my co-host Chris. Tell him how you doing today.
I think my heart's finally calmed down after yesterday's game. The 49ers decided to give us a little bit of a heart attack, but hey, they made it out, and we're ready on Monday to talk about Sunday.
Excellent. And you know what? Speaking of which, how about those Chiefs? They're now sitting pretty at 9-0 after that close call against the Broncos. We're going to talk about how they kept the streak alive and even a few slips that might have gone through, and plus the celebration of the historic milestone to Travis Kelsey, by the way.
They
But
did.
let's start here first. Is this the Chiefs built all the way in which they are due for a wake up call based upon that end? Are they knocking on death's door of this streak, or was this just a means of them showing that they're the best team even in the thick of it?
Watching that game, I went back and watched the highlights because I did not watch it live. I was watching my own team. But watching that game, it did look like for a second that the Chiefs weren't really into the game until they got down 14-3. And then they just kind of turned it on. And the way a great team operates is if you can lose one facet of the game is offense, the other is defense, the other is special teams. If you're not doing well in one, the others have to pick up the slack. And that's what the Chiefs do. If the offense is not playing well, defense steps up. Defense isn't playing well, giving up points, offense steps up. And if neither one are doing that great, well, their game-winning play, blocking the field goal on special teams. You have all three facets of a team. It doesn't matter how bad one of them plays as long as the others pick up the rest of it. I don't think this was a knocking on death's door game. I think this was a kind of a message to the rest of the league that you need to try harder if you're going to beat them.
Oh, wow, try hard in a sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Chiefs are that type of team where not even a lead is safe with Patrick Mahomes' in seat because we've seen him come back. But in that same token, in this game, however, you can almost say Patrick Mahomes was kind of I don't want to say a hindrance, but he wasn't necessarily the driving force to help them
He
fully get
wasn't.
through this game. A lot of it was heavily relied upon on the defense. So, I mean, are they just the scariest threat considering that they have the offense that is just kind of waiting to explode, especially with DeAndre Hopkins? In the meantime, they're just relying on the defense and just stopping other teams. And of course, they may have the special teams to boot. Are we just waiting for the Chiefs to win another Super Bowl and we're just going through the formality of the regular season?
It's a very familiar feeling. This really does bring me back to peak Brady and the Patriots, and we're just kind of felt some years like, okay, where they're just going to go to the Super Bowl. Um, with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, it doesn't matter. Like you said, it doesn't matter if they're down 14-3. I've seen him come back 24-0. It doesn't matter. Once he decides to turn it on, that's when it matters. Now, there has not been a team this year to stop him once he's decided to turn it on. Once him and Kelsey decide to get that click on, there hasn't been a team that's been able to stop him. Shout out to the Bucks for taking them to overtime,
Yeah, right.
especially in their state. But every other game they've been in besides this Broncos game, now that is the only other thing. They went to OT on Monday, and then on Sunday they squeaked out a 2-point win on a blocked field goal. Some could say that's kind of a carryover from that Monday night game. Could just be they were a little bit tired. But hey, if a tired team wins by blocking a field goal, I'll take it 100% of the time.
Right.
100%.
You got win is a win regardless of how you get it. And that does show some pretty clutch moment in that regard. But, one other thing we do got to talk about real quick is, of course, Travis Kelsey tying Tony Gonzalez's record for touchdowns and receptions. Um, what does this achievement mean? Like, where do we rank Travis Kelsey now with this under his belt plus his championships? Is he ramming in that territory the greatest tight end of all time, or at least in the top five discussion?
He's definitely in the top five. He automatically right now. He's top five tight end of all time. Where in that top five list is going to depend on
What
who
is
you
that?
ask. I don't
Let's
put him
shoot
at
from the
number
hip.
one.
Let's shoot from the hip. Rank your top five. Give me the power ranking of your top five.
Man, off the top of my head, I'm going to have to go with Gronk, Gonzalez, Gates. Who's number four? Oh, man. Gronk, Gonzalez, Gates. I'm not putting Shannon Sharp there at four. That
Get
might give
Shannon
me some
mad.
flack. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
I
I hear
think
you,
I'll be
Skip.
invited to Club Shay Shay. Top
Don't
five
worry.
tight end of all time. I'm going to take my bias out of this and stick with my list. Gronk is number one. Gonzalez is number two. Gates is number three. I will give Kelsey currently four. and I will put Sharp at 5. If we were going to have a 6th, I would put George Kittle at 6.
George Kittle. Did you mention
Hmm.
Tony Gonzalez? He did
I
mention
did. He's number
Gonzalez.
2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gronk, Gonzalez, Gates. Okay, I got you. All right, yeah, that's not a bad list. That's not a bad list. All right,
Gronk is
very
just
cool.
Gronk's on another level when it comes to being a tight end, for a scoring tight end. And Gonzalez might be one of the best overall tight ends that I've ever seen.
No, I get you. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. Travis Kelsey is definitely standing out, though. He's becoming
Yeah.
a real clutch to this team as far as a security blanket. Talk about security blankets
Hmm.
for tight ends. Yeah, Gronk is definitely one you want to have on your side in that case. Were there any other key takeaways from this game? Because for me, one of the key things I took out of this game, again, of course, is that you just can't rest on the Chiefs. No matter what the situation is, they can always find a way to get through, whether it's the Andy Reid factor or the Patrick Mahomes or even now the defense. I don't know. I do feel like their time is coming because they're going to be going against the Steelers, who also got out a real ugly win, and the Steelers know how to win ugly. But I don't know if they go through them. There's a likelihood they may just run the table.
Who's going to stop him? I mean, they've already they beat the Ravens. Granted, it was week 1. I don't know if that would be the same if they played again today. They still have yet to play the Bills. That game's still on their schedule, so we'll see how those two shake out. But that Steelers game is getting a lot more interesting. Russell Wilson, 3-0 since he's been named the starter. Steelers are looking pretty good. They look pretty solid.
No,
You
tell
think
you,
they
they
can
look
beat
like a
them?
real playoff threat. They are a
They
real
do.
playoff threat. That's the thing about it. I felt like they were last week when we talked about this, where given any situation, if you can't put them down and have them stay in it, they can get that last second win if they need to.
Shout out to Mike Williams, by the way, scoring as many points as the entire Jets organization. Good job.
That's a big pickup for that team. That's all they needed was an extra receiver, and of course they had the end of the defensive.
Now, the Steelers, that's one of those teams where if somehow they make it past in the playoffs and they get to an AFC title game, I wouldn't want to play them. I don't.
I think you don't want to play them, but depending on how it looks like, it could be the Chiefs waiting for them in the NFC title, AFC
Right.
title game. That's how it always is in that degree.
It'd be Ravens Steelers.
Oh God, if that's the end of, that's going to be an amazing game because we talk about division rivals. That would be the dream AFC Championship game, at least for the AFC North. God, I hope the Ravens win that one.
Seriously. I do not want the Steelers in the Super Bowl. I don't.
No, we don't. All right, well, going to the NFC side of things, let's talk about the 49ers and that Buccaneers game and how close of a game that came down to be. The Buccaneers not going away easy. Baker Mayfield keeping them alive with that strong play he had against Nick Bosa with the completion in the end of it. Now, don't get me wrong, even with the special teams having their weak ends throughout the most of the game, they did come through in the end with a big kick that helped the 49ers seal the deal. But let me ask you, Chris, how do you feel about the 49er chances moving forward, especially after this game, considering how close it was?
If you just look at the box score, I would say this team is not really poised to do much of anything. But honestly, right now, as a fan, I will say that as a fan, I feel like this team is going to be okay as long as Brock Purdy keeps playing the way he did. Brock Purdy is the reason that the Niners won this game yesterday. Not Kyle Shanahan, not Nick Sorensen. Jake Moody, we'll get to Jake Moody in a second. But Brock Purdy's play, extending plays with Jawan Jennings, extending plays with George Kittle, and even extending plays with the returning McCaffrey, Brock won this game. Because his best plays were off schedule. They were scrambles. The play to George Kittle was a scramble. The throw to McCaffrey was not called for him. It was a scramble. The throws at the last drive to Jawan Jennings, that was Brock doing Brock things. I said something last week. I said it on socials, and I think I might have said it in one of our vids. It's getting to a point where I'm starting to think Kyle might be limiting Brock. And I think Brock needs more freedom, but I think the 49ers are okay. They have Seattle next week. I want to take a second, though, on the other side of the ball. Shout out to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, he might not be considered an elite quarterback. He is an elite contender. He will not stop. If you want someone to play for 60 minutes and give you everything, no matter who he has down, it's Baker Mayfield. He kept them in that game from start to finish. He did not stop. He didn't give up. He only threw for 105 yards, but you can't tell looking at the box score. Baker Mayfield earned my respect. That's what he did.
Yeah. Now, Baker Mayfield did play really well. I say the Browns have to be kicking themselves for letting that dude go. He has been, I don't care what anyone says, the best quarterback the Browns have drafted since forever at this point. And they let him walk because you got Deshaun Watson. You figured that would be a good turnaround, but that's turned out to be one of the bigger busts that you could ever think of, especially with a big contract. But
239 million. Yeah.
right, just all disgusting, especially considering how it's all turning out. But yeah, his performance against the Bucks. I saw someone post this yesterday saying that Baker Mayfield is a fun QB to watch because he can be exciting. He keeps his team in it. He does have a drive. But keeping it to the Niners. How do you feel about the special teams in the end of it? Considering that they were such a weekend, you don't want to have a situation where your team is good on both sides of the ball. Your special teams is the one that's lagging. Like, ask the Chargers. I think 2003 cost you any and everything in the grand scheme of it, 2008. But I mean, like, you're a 49ers fan. How do you feel moving forward with the special teams? Do you feel like it's okay, or do you feel like this is going to be our week?
It's not okay. No, it is not okay. Special teams can and might be the reason the 49ers don't get further in the playoffs this year. Because you got to remember, take it back to the Super Bowl. What happened in that game? Ray McLeod muffed a punt, and we missed an extra point. Well, the Niners missed an extra point. This special teams thing has been brewing for 2 seasons. It started in late 2022, and it's only been going downhill. And Kyle doesn't seem to want to address it. The special teams coach has been called out by fans, has been called out by media, has been called out by analysts. Kyle won't fire him. We have the worst special teams in the league. Now, in Jake's case, Jake Moody, he was coming off at high ankle sprain. I'm not mad at he missed one kick. He made his first one, by the way.
Yeah.
Then he made his extra points. And then he just missed 3 long kicks in a row. And it's especially annoying as a fan because all week we had to hear during practice he didn't miss a single kick. Not one. He kicked like 20-some kicks in practice and made all of them.
Yeah, it's not too hard to make those kicks when you're not. I would say it's not hard to make those kicks when you're in like a private arena where everyone's not yelling at you and you got people going against you. But yeah, that's the thing about it. How well do you do in those bright lights? Can you make those big kicks? Is there a concern with Jake Moody going forward that, what do you do at this point? Do you even try to get another kicker, or do you just be like, well, this is what we have. We just have to make sure we keep these games big and large with the deficit.
Listen, the only reason Jake Moody is still on the team right now is because he was the third round pick.
Yeah. A rookie though.
If he was like a 5th, 6th, 7th round pick or undrafted, he would have been gone. He would have been off the team.
I get that.
I'm not giving up on Jake.
Oh well, that's good to hear.
He has a leg. He just needs discipline. Now, the way certain players chose to go around getting that discipline done, I don't really agree with. Debo. But hey. You can't argue with results. He made that last one that mattered.
Yeah, Debo said after that whole altercation where he shoved Moody. Oh no, I'm sorry, he shoved the long snapper. Actually, that's what he shoved. Yeah. And he's like, you know what? That guy got some dog in him because granted he got upset, but he didn't let him affect it in the long scheme of the game, especially in the last play there. So I don't know.
All three of them said after the game, heat of the moment, they're okay. It was interesting because if you watch the very end of the game, when Moody hits the kick, the whole team comes out and celebrates with Jake Moody. Except one player. Guess who that was?
Debo.
It's Debo Samuel. Now Kyle didn't help after the game either. Going to the podium when they asked him about it, he said, I didn't even see it. They had to explain it to him. Now, see, Kyle, that's not the best look. Because per former 49ers coaches, Jim Harbaugh would have been in the middle of that fight.
Yeah, that's true. Right now, Jim Harbaugh's in the middle of celebration because the Chargers ain't doing too bad.
They are not. They were 6-3.
Yeah, and they're 6-3. Mind you, last year they only won 5 games. Yeah. Only won 5 games. So far, they beat that record and plus some. But actually, we're not going to go necessarily directly to the Chargers because, of course, we got to talk about the Sunday night game. The big win.
Oh, my God.
How the Detroit Lions, no matter what you do, keep the train rolling themselves. Jared Goff, we talked about his efficiency the last time we spoke, how he was barely missing any passes. Well, again, he wasn't missing any passes. It just happened to be to the other team. 5 interceptions. yet still coming out with the win. Talk about the resilience. Is that resilience what separates the Lions as a true contender? Or are these turnovers an issue that hints at a potential vulnerabilities that this team could face going down the line, especially in the playoffs?
Yes. That win by the Lions, that's grit. That is Dan Campbell fighting kneecaps grit. Dude, if they had lost that game, no one would have been upset at them. Your quarterback throws 5 picks, you expect to lose. You throw 5 picks and win on the road against a team that's in first place in their division? Nah, the Lions are contenders. I don't like the fact that the Niners still have to play them. Now, a healthy Niners team could beat them. But right now, I'm telling you, a lot of the NFC, we're looking at the state of Texas like, what happened, guys? You had 5 picks on them.
Oh, well, that goes up to the other side of C.J. Stroud. To some degree, in the second half, they just didn't show up. They scored 0 points in the second half. So even though you get the 5 picks, if you don't score anything to continue the steam or the roll that you were on, then yeah, there was second half adjustments that came into play, completely shut down the Texans offense.
I'm not trying to start a controversy here based on the team we were just talking about, but Jake Moody was a 3rd round pick. Josh Bates for the Lions was undrafted. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you're saying he's a better kicker?
Maybe.
I don't know what he actually
call him Master Bates.
Yeah. Keep that in. But in the end of it, with the Lions showing that they had that strong, you talk about grit. I don't know. Some may call it luck. Look, I don't know. The Lions, build a legacy of winning in this case. But is this streak more about facing weaker teams to some degree?
Well, the Texans aren't necessarily the strongest team. They led the division, but the AFC South isn't super great. But no, the Lions, they showed. I think this is the first time they've been down by that far this season.
They have been, but they came back. I just want to emphasize the point I'm making because we're so deep into the season now. Let's just kind of look back at who their opponents were. Remember, they beat the Rams in overtime, but they lost to the Bucs. The Bucs showed that they could be a team that they could fight you into the end. Now, they lost to the Cardinals, but the Cardinals, I don't think, had Kyler Murray in the beginning of that season. It was like week 3.
They did.
Kyler Murray playing? Okay. Well,
Kyler Murray's been playing the whole season.
Yeah. Okay. They did beat the Cardinals. They beat the Seahawks. They went on a bye. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Vikings. They beat the Titans. They beat the Packers, and now they beat the Texans. Like, a lot of these teams are just named if they make the playoffs it's because they're number 1 in their division. But in the grand scheme of it, none of these teams are named anyone will consider a playoff threat. The time in which the Lions will be playing a considerable playoff threat will be the 49ers if you don't count the Packers or possibly the Bears.
I was going to say the Packers could still be in there, but that depends on Jordan Love. It is interesting that they have beaten everyone in their division, though. Have they played the Bears yet?
No, they have not played the Bears. They'll be playing the Bears on the Thursday game, November 28th, and they'll be playing them again December 22nd in Chicago.
Christmas?
First game.
Thanksgiving?
Oh, no, but is it the Thanksgiving game? Well, I don't know. No, yeah, it is a Thanksgiving game. Chicago Bears and Lions? Yeah, of course it is. Lions always play.
Yeah, it's the Lions. The Lions always play on Thanksgiving.
I don't know how we got to that point, but that is what they're guaranteed to do. And the Bears at Chicago, this will be December 22nd.
That's going to be a cold, ugly game.
It is, but I don't know. I hate to be the person who's like, oh, they're not playing anyone strong because you can only play who's on your schedule. But when you look and break it down, it's like, are the Lions legit or are they just beating teams that they are just flat out better than?
Are you suggesting that the Lions could be fraudulent?
Oh, I'm not saying they're fugazi, but the word is kind of out there. Maybe. The Lions, look, they're dominating. They're stomping on people. But, I mean, again, they're stomping on people who you should be stomping on. I want to see them against the Eagles. I want to see them against the Niners. You know what? I want to see them against the Commanders.
That I would actually like to see.
Yeah.
On the rest of the Lions schedule. Because you said, I know the Niners play them.
Yeah. That's going to be look, they don't. The schedule isn't that strong because they still got to finish off the AFC South. So we talk about Jacksonville after this.
Jacksonville, yeah.
Then they got to play. Then they got to play the Indianapolis Colts, so they don't look great. To the Bears. Oh, I'm sorry. They do have the Bills on the schedule. Completely forgot about them. Sorry about that, Bills fans.
Sandwiched right between the Packers and the Bears. It's the Bills.
But it's in Detroit. If that means
now, the last time they played, Josh Allen did go to Detroit and beat them.
Interesting.
That was
Interesting.
2 seasons.
So I don't know. It's like I'm waiting to see how this all pans out. This is the reason why everyone loves the Lions, and they are a great story. I do think they're a top tier team, but I don't think they're a Super Bowl contending team yet. I just don't.
You think they're just missing something?
I just need to see. You know what? I hate to be that guy, but I just need to see some real adversity. I need to see them in a situation against a top tier team, and I just want to see how they do. I want to see them against another team, especially that was in your top Gridiron 10 last week.
Yeah.
I want to see them play one of those teams. They haven't really done that yet.
So hypothetically, if they play, let's see, who have they played close?
Oh,
The Vikings.
the
The Vikings was a close game. Buccaneers was a close game. Rams was a close game. Yeah. So if they play the Bears and the Packers on the rest of their schedule and the Vikings close, but somehow blow out the Bills and the Niners, are they contenders?
yeah, I'll give them that. I'll give them a little bit more in that case. As far as blowing out the Niners, especially if the Niners are healthy, or the 49ers are healthy by that point, because it's like the second to last game of the week. And the Bills, the Bills lose because Josh Allen tries too hard and he beats himself, which he almost did this week. Luckily, they had a strong deficit against the Colts. Talk about he threw picks. I just finished going over about how he was only threw 2 picks. He threw like a lot in that game, but
yeah, there was a lot of interceptions yesterday.
All right, a lot of teams have people's quarterback numbers, but yeah, I guess I don't know because it's still I question the Eagles, but at the same time, I want to see them play against the Eagles. I just
some people have given that same criticism that you're giving to Detroit to the Eagles.
Fair.
Saying that they haven't played anybody of note.
Let's take a quick look at the Eagles. Who have they played actually?
I know they beat the Packers week 1. That was in Brazil.
They did have a game in Brazil. Even
That was
then,
a weird one.
there they are. Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles so far have beaten the they beaten the Packers, they beat the Saints, they beat the Browns, the Giants, the Bengals, the Jaguars, and the Cowboys. Now they lost to the Falcons and they lost to the Buccaneers.
They did. The Buccaneers, man, they lost handily to the Buccaneers too.
Yeah. That's when the Buccaneers had
That
all
was
those-
when they had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll admit I'm a little biased when it comes to conferences. I always kind of figured the AFC is a stronger conference to some degree. I know a lot of the best teams play in the NFC, but I feel like the AFC is stronger. A lot of your top tier teams are going to come out of the AFC.
Yeah.
When you look at the NFC, it's really kind of a who's who. If you're not the Lions or the Eagles or the Niners, you're kind of in that realm of you're a playoff team, but you're not a Super Bowl team. That's Washington, Minnesota, Green Bay, Atlanta, Arizona. I mean, the only reason I keep saying the 49ers are the team, their record may say no, but when healthy, I just can't disqualify them. And they usually get healthy right at the right time of the end of the season, right before the playoffs, and that's when it really hits. Of course, it's a single game. Anything can happen any given Sunday. But those, to me, are the top 3 teams in the NFC. Every other team is a playoff bracket tier, but you're not a Super Bowl.
I guess
that's Detroit.
That's a valid assessment. The Detroit Lions, they did make the NFC title game last year, but they lost.
Yeah.
So this is a measuring stick season for them. If they get into the playoffs and they lose in the wild card or the divisional round, what happens then? Is it just a loss?
Oh, you mean if they lose?
Yeah.
It depends on how they lose, and it depends on who they lose to. It all comes down to that.
Because they're
If you lose to like
currently
a
the number 1 seed, right?
yeah 8-1. I mean, if you lose to like a close game, and it's only because the defense is stacked on both sides, and it's a block field goal hypothetically, they'd be like, oh, that's a heartbreaking loss. It came close. But if it's a situation where you're throwing picks, causing turnovers, making bad decisions, you'd be like, see, I'll give you an example. Ravens last year. They lost in the AFC Championship game. You can look at that and be like, this team was poised to win, but that loss was marred in question. Like, why did you not run the ball more often when this is what your offense is designed to do? They did passing plays that weren't necessary. Lamar trying to make tight windows when he shouldn't have. Defense couldn't stop. That was a bad loss. If the Lions have a loss like that, yeah, you can question it. But if it's a close loss where it's like it came down to the final second. The other team was just better in that moment. Just taking a stride and prepare for next season.
What it's going to come down to is who in the NFC playoffs can go into Detroit and pull out a win in the playoffs.
That's true.
That's what's going to have to happen.
Yeah. The road to Super Bowl is through Motown.
And that stadium, that dome is going to be loud. They are going to be going crazy in there. Last year they beat Matt Stafford, their old Lion boy himself.
It is. I don't know. We'll see. There's still a lot of football to be played. There's still a lot of shifting that could be played, that could happen going into the playoffs in that case. But let me ask you, what did you this past week? Granted, we still have a game Monday night, but this past weekend, what did you feel was the top tier play of the weekend?
Top tier play? Well, you could argue it was the Lions' field goal to win. Could argue it was the Bengals' performance, even though they lost. Man, and maybe shout out to Lamar Jackson on that one. I think if I'm going with a single play, my bias is going to come out. It's going to be in the 49ers game. But it's going to be Baker Mayfield's play. Baker Mayfield on 4th and 7 with one arm held by Nick Bosa, game on the line, just chucked the ball to Rashad White and got a first down, which led to them getting a game-tying field goal. And I don't think it's too controversial to say. If Mike Evans and Chris Godwin have been playing in that game, there's a good chance the Niners lose.
Possibly.
If the three missed kicks still happen, there's a good chance the Niners.
All right, I like that. For me, I'm going to also pull for the 49ers game as well, but it's that play from Brock Purdy to George Kittle. That was an amazing throw, an amazing catch. It was a key play that helped them seal that win as well. George Kittle, that was a play that also helped cement him with the it wasn't Kittle, that's Kelsey. But Kittle's also putting his name up there as well. That to me was the top play. If I had to pick another play, I guess it's that blocked field goal by the Chiefs, because I didn't see that coming. I really thought that was going to go through. But that was amazing. You don't see a lot of blocked field goals, especially in key moments like that. So yeah.
But that's November football. All right, that is gritty, hard fighting November football. This is where teams separate themselves.
Exactly. Where the best of the best kind of shine. And you start to see who's a real playoff team and who isn't. I don't know, man. I know it's late for the Patriots, but they looked pretty good in that last game. The Steelers, I really like how the Steelers look. They played that game close, but Washington kind of showed me they weren't a team to kind of sleep on either.
If I'm a Patriots fan, I am very angry because why didn't you just start playing Drake May?
Yeah. Development. They thought he wasn't ready.
Jacoby Brissett lost him like 3 games.
Building season. Sometimes you got to sit back and just be like, you know what? We're just kind of playing to see what we got. Drake May, do you see him as just this is the guy they have now? This is their franchise? Do you feel like you need to see more Drake May?
I need to see a little bit more, but he gives them a better start than Jacoby Brissett did. But as of right now, so far in week 10 of the season, the limited amount of Drake May I've seen, I want him to keep playing. But the other one is Bo Nix.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Bo Nix, for going toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes in your first game with him. Almost getting that win. He almost did. He was right there.
Yeah, he played a really good game. It goes without saying, but, he did have 215 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, he played really well in comparison to Patrick Mahomes, who had 266 yards. Mahomes threw the ball like 42 times. He was just chucking it out there. But no, Bo Nix, he was able to stay toe-to-toe, keep the game close. It came down to that final block punt. Yeah, getting a decent crowd.
We did shout out Tony Gonzalez for passing. Travis Kelce for passing Tony Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
A couple weeks ago, George Kittle passed Dwight Clark for touchdowns by tight ends for the 49ers all time.
Look at that. And look at not even national tight end weekend again. It's just what it is for these guys. This always show up.
Kelce had a good day. Kittle had a good day. Laporta had a good day.
It wasn't too bad. Let me ask you, since it was on Thursday, we didn't really go over it. Were there any takeaways you had from the Bengals and Ravens game? Which I told everyone the Ravens were going to win because they are that team. Everybody, listen on the radio. People was like, oh, yeah, the Bengals got this. Like, you don't understand. The Bengals had to go into overtime to beat the Ravens last time. Granted, it was close, but you really think the Ravens are going to let that happen again? No.
Jamar Chase had 250 yards.
Yeah, amazing. Joe Burrow had 428 by
He
himself.
did.
I hear you. I hear you. All this, and that's lovely. But Ravens.
It can't. I do have something to say because it's the same thing every time. They went for two instead of just tying the game. It's a situation where if you make it, you're a genius. But if you don't make it, you're stupid. Should have just taken the points.
Well, here we are. I'm not too mad at it.
But
the
be
Bengals.
Fair, no.
But I mean, what does this mean for the Bengals going forward? Should they be concerned? Is this a panic switch, or should they just be like, okay, fine? I mean, are they still in it? As far as they're pretty far back,
so.
4-6.
I don't think they're in it.
I think this is it. Yeah, I think this is it.
Last week they were in a situation where they had to win like 6 of their last 7 to be considered. And then they lost. So no, I think with the Chiefs being the way they are, Steelers, Ravens, Chargers. Who am I missing? In the AFC, Buffalo.
Yeah.
There's too many teams. You're not going to make the final seven playing like this. I mean, we have the Ravens and the Steelers playing out of that division already.
Yeah.
That's two
I mean,
teams.
they're both
That's
kind of
Chiefs is 3, Buffalo's 4, Chargers are going to be 5. I don't know about the Broncos.
Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. I mean, Houston's going to win their division because there's plus the Chargers, and then you still have Denver. Cincinnati is down there. They have to win a division or just lucky to get a wild card slot. Luckily, behind them though are the Colts and New England and the Jets. So unless these teams shift and bring it around, and of course Detroit keeps rolling, if they ever start rolling actually, because they lost this last game. I don't know.
If the Chargers falter, then maybe the Bengals could sneak in with like 9 wins.
Yeah, but the Chargers are 6-3.
Yeah, they'd have to fall off pretty hard.
Yeah, and I don't like their chances. But since we're really talking about
Jim Harbaugh.
Well, let's take a look and see who the Bengals have. We talk about are they out of it? Let's just see who else they have real quick. Because for the rest of their schedule, they're going to be playing the Chargers. How do you like that? So that's the game they can put themselves in to take that position. Knock them back.
Who's after that?
The bye week?
The Steelers.
Yeah, the Steelers. There you go right there. That's pretty much their playoff begins next week. They're going to have to start winning these games. They got the Cowboys and the Titans.
Oh, man. Their schedule ends on a pretty rough note. Browns, Broncos, Steelers are their last 3 games.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. They're gonna have to really kind of buckle down and try to get those wins when it matters.
How they play the Chargers is going to be important. Because if they lose, and they go 4-7, the game's over. Because I don't know if they can beat the Steelers. They'll probably beat the Cowboys. They might beat the Titans. But I'm not sold that they're going to beat the Browns, Broncos, and Steelers. Because the Broncos are probably going to be fighting for a playoff spot. The Steelers are just going to be fighting for seeding.
Yeah, because right now they do have a pretty good position. Seeing how they might, I don't know, it's still early. Because right now they look like they're leading the conference. I'm sorry, the division.
Leading their division.
Yeah, for right now.
State of Pennsylvania is leading their division right now.
Oh, Pennsylvania, good for something.
Cheesesteaks.
Yeah, right. Who doesn't love cheesesteaks? It's always sunny up there. It doesn't like Philadelphia.
The Bengals, Joe Burrow's going to have a great year. Joe Burrow's stats, lovely. Jamar Chase's stats, amazing.
But
the record is not showing. That defense is a problem.
Well, other than that, though, this has definitely been a really wild weekend. We still have a Monday night game, but that does wrap up our discussion of the thrilling lineups that we had today. We do want to thank you all for joining us. We do want you to like and subscribe, and of course, hit that notify bell so that way you can see new when episodes pop out. Join us in the discussion. Tell us who you think are the best teams. Are the Lions for real, or are they fugazi, filet or bologna? Are the 49ers legitimate, or are they just kind of wheeling through on spare tires until they get their team together? Or are the Ravens Or the Chiefs just the best team in football, or just the Chiefs in general, considering that they're unstoppable. But hey, you tell us. We'll see you on the other side, and see you on the next down. Have a good day, everyone.